Recently, I decided to up my training game from the hangboard to the moonboard. For those who don't know what a moonboard is, it's basically a steep wall with small crimps and small pinches. Compared to the hangboard, climbing on the moonboard is way more intense on the fingers. But at the same time, it's so much more fun, so I made the mistake of training hard on it for too long. I trained on the moonboard for 1.5 hours last weekend. After that, my left ring finger felt sore for the entire week. Even though my left finger didn't feel 100% this weekend, I made a bad decision to jump on the moonboard again because I was mad about being shut down by a particular V4 route. I made a dynamic catch, but I slipped a foot. Somehow I decided to not let go of my hands, maybe because it was one of the rare times that I was able to stick the low percentage start move. So I thought it was my chance to send it. And then my left ring finger popped. It was loud and it hurt. After 11 years of climbing, I got my first major finger injury. I went to my primary care doctor and the good news is that he doesn't think the injury is so serious that I need to get an MRI or X-ray. In order to have my finger injury fully diagnosed, I decided to reach out to an expert, Matt DiStefano, a doctor of physical therapy specializing in climbing injuries. I had a super fruitful 1-hour session with Matt. However, to make the video not too long, I will skip the part where he diagnosed my fingers and taught me the details of the finger anatomy. I'll show his advice on what action we should take after having a finger injury.
It's probably more a tendon strain than a pulley injury because of where you're feeling the pain, the stress tests that we were doing, it's pointing more towards the tendon, specifically the flexor digitorum superficialis. Because we're still in the acute phase of the injury, what you want to work on right now is a lot of antagonist training. So we're talking about the finger flexors, so you want to work on the extensors. I would stay away from anything that's going to be flexion based. So you're going to dig your hand into the rice bucket, you're going to extend your fingers out, and then you're going to pull up. Extending your fingers in the rice is going to be an exercise in and of itself, but then keeping the fingers extended as you pull them back out of the rice is also going to work those muscles. To have a strong power grip to be able to hold onto a crimp, we need roughly 30 degrees of wrist extension to have that power grip. So if you have your wrist at neutral, you can really only do so much, but if you come back into this position, now you can get a little bit more of a grip with your flexors. These muscles do that. If you have a dumbbell, you can just do some wrist extension. So now that you're rehabbing a finger flexor issue, you want to focus on the antagonist. If there's extra pressure from that pulley on the healing tendon, then it's just going to slow down the healing process. So if we can get a little bit of support here, then it's going to help out. I think the finger taping for maybe another 4 or 5 days would be enough just to get you out of the acute phase. And if you do notice any swelling or anything like that, if you feel you want to use some ice, by all means. Some gentle tendon glides like this can also be helpful as long as it's pain-free. So if you have the protection of some tape, then I think that would be good to do. You're not really squeezing very hard. You're just gliding the tendon. You're basically just keeping the tendon moving smoothly through the pulley. That's just gonna keep scar tissue from building up and keep it from getting tight down the line. If it was a pulley injury, we wouldn't be doing this early, but again, we're not necessarily looking at a pulley injury, we're looking more at a tendon injury. Here's an often overlooked thing to work on when we're talking about finger injuries. So sometimes when we have weakness in one of our ankles, one of our legs, and we're trying to stand on one side, you know, just imagine if you're in that position and you have a lot of pressure on that foot, but it's kind of weak and it pops, now all of a sudden we have a lot of pressure on that hand. So in the coming weeks, spending a lot of time working on single leg balance exercises. This is information from the climbing doctor, but it's a really good warm up. You can do things like standing on one leg and doing flag exercises to work on the strength of those muscles, but you're also working on that balance. And then you can also work on reverse flag, going the other way. A lot of times people are like, but we're talking about my hand. Why are we focusing on the ankles and stuff? It all works together as a system. So if you have weakness down here, it's just putting a lot of stress on your hand and on your finger. So we want to make sure that we're targeting everything.
Lastly, I just want to tell you all that getting injured is not fun. My V7 project comes to an halt. My quest for a strict bar muscle up also comes to an halt. It's just frustrating. So make sure you don't climb too hard and make the same mistake as I did. Also, Matt would like to remind you that these 4 tips are just for what happens early on in the process. So stay tuned for later rehab information as the weeks go on. Matt recommends seeking the advice of a medical professional for any injury before starting your own rehab process in order to ensure that you are on an efficient path to recovery without making the injury worse. If you would like to get in touch with Matt for a session, feel free to email him. He offers remote video treatment sessions. And if you happen to be in San Diego, you can also visit him at the Mesa Rim Co-working Center. Also, I'm curious to know whether you have suffered from a finger injury before. If you have, let me know in the comment section below. See you in the next video.